right, don't correct me if I don't. I don't know if I've done it justice, it's a big one. So when my two sisters and I were young, my parents would take us camping each year to the Catskills. And I remember genuinely enjoying these long weekend trips. We'd spend 4 hours driving together each way in our family car of the moment. The 5 of us traveled in a series of vehicles, including a Volkswagen Beetle. Did you people cool it? We traveled in a series of vehicles, including a Volkswagen Beetle that my aunt had either loaned or given my dad, a small Subaru well before Subarus were the in car for the Whole Foods set, a hand-me-down Pontiac that was once rented by an elderly gentleman who insisted when he surveyed the damage that we'd been parked on a blind corner with the trunk open, a small Mazda pickup truck with a cap over the bed that served as the back seat, and once my dad started doing well, a company Chevy. On this particular trip, we took the Mazda pickup, and don't envision the pickup trucks of today with their crew cabs and comfortable suspension. This was a 5-speed low-end model, roughly the size of a toaster oven, with an added metal bed cap and no pass-through window into the cab, just 2 thick pieces of tempered glass with 3 inches of space separating the cabin and the rear bed where we kids rode, bouncing around unbelted, arguing over who'd have to sit on the wheel well. My parents couldn't hear a damn thing that went on back there. It was brilliant, if not even a little bit safe. The memories of the actual campout are a hazy mix of campouts that came before this one. There would be the smell of coffee in the morning, a fire all day long, muddy dreadlocks and dirty faces, showers that cost a dime to operate, and toilets that drew more flies than Staten Island in a heat wave. There was a general store where we begged our mother to buy us quarter parachute men or candy, despite the 50 overflowing bags of groceries sitting back at our campsite. In the afternoon, we'd eat lunch, then snacks, then some snacks before dinner. We'd play perilously close to the rapids until they got too deep or too quick. We'd drench all the towels and drag dirt into our beds, and sometimes at night there'd be a social event at the pavilion, where I only remember the country music and a rusty swing set that likely ran the local ER clean out of tetanus shots. Looking back, I'm sure there had to be alcohol barely disguised in coffee. So for 3 or 4 days, we'd swim and run, we'd eat, argue, listen to the adults up talking late at night, and we'd wake them up well before the crack of dawn. We had all the kinds of fun that people claim to be nostalgic for today. The kind we modern parents are sure will lead to contusions or certain death, if not kidnapping or hantavirus. Thinking about it now, it is actually a miracle no one died. And while most of the content of those days have blended, and the trips to and from the Catskills are an uneventful blur of 2-lane roads and thick woods, one ride stands out. One ride has become a legend in our family. One ride home from the Catskills will never ever be forgotten. There were 2 adults sitting in the cab of the pickup, unless Shannon was up there. Spoiled. My mom and dad drove through upstate New York. Maybe they were listening to the Doobie Brothers. Maybe the truck was as loud up front as it was in the back. Or maybe my parents had perfected the kind of selective hearing that comes with having 3 children who never stop asking for things. In the bed of the truck, under its flimsy metal lid, we 6 cousins were jammed in like stowed immigrants, crossing the border from the wilderness back to the suburbs. And to ensure that not an inch of space was left unoccupied, Saint, our big, dumb Irish setter, was also with us. Saint had enjoyed as much of the barbecue and s'mores as we had, but liked the higher concentration of dirt, bugs, and bottle caps. So there we rode in the truck's bed, sliver windows that cranked open like gills, to let air into the tiny space where we all sat, circulating the smells of damp camping gear, muddy skin, stale pit smoke, and dirty, wet dog. I remember that I was wearing shorts, and knowing my awkward adolescent self, they were at least half a size too small. I recall little of the trip before this, but I distinctly remember the moment that I realized our dog was shitting in the back of the car. With the 6 of us packed in around him. I don't know who shouted first. But I distinctly remember my cousin Adam shoving me with his feet because Saint's second emission had hit my back and rolled from my waistband to the bottom of those 2 small shorts. saw when I landed hard on my hands and knees. My face so close I could feel the heat. The dog was suddenly everywhere. We six had become borderline psychotic. None of us could get away from him and his clumsy, confused maneuvering, or his prolific hindquarters. I know. Already the biggest of the cousins, though not the oldest, I should add. I was now the biggest, smeared in dog shit, and being pinballed around the back of a poorly ventilated toaster oven. I don't know how my parents remained oblivious to 6 children shouting hysterically and jostling each other violently in that 5'2" space. Mere inches from their cushioned, air-conditioned houses. But neither our shrieks or movement could get their attention. If we'd been on a sailboat instead of in a pickup, desperately, erratically throwing our way through, we would have capsized and drowned, which looking back might have been a better thing. Instead, we drove on, the dog seeming to shit for hours, screamed and clawed our way away from it. My cousin Jason cranked open the tiny awning window and started flapping frantically, like a one-armed man paddling against a current, hoping to catch my parents' attention, but nothing was happening. The car was not slowing down. Either they really couldn't see him, or they figured we just needed to pee. Driving 4 hours home, exhausted from parenting, possibly hungover, with a carload of filthy kids, do not stop for a singular bodily urge. Not the humankind, anyway. In that tiny metal hell, the hysteria continued. My cousin yelled out the window, "Save poop! Save poop!" In the panic falsetto of all the 17 years, then more urgently, "Sadie shit!" The 6 of us bounced around our future lonely lot, trying to avoid the turns, my smeared shorts, and the confused, terrified dog. It was a perverse and desperate game of Twister. Finally, for the love of all that is decent and holy, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, if you get me out of this, I will never hit my sisters ever again. My parents pulled over. If my dad wasn't furious, he was at least annoyed, expecting to hear the word tampon or farted out of it. But I think once he opened the glass hatch of the cab and then the tailgate, the full extent of the situation made itself stiflingly apparent. I must have stripped those shorts right in the middle of the mouth. Because none of us was about to climb back into that literal shithole. I'm sure my mom took care of all the soiled sleeping bags, pillows, and clothes, while Dad walked the dog empty so that we could continue the trip home without interruption. I still see most of my cousins regularly and somehow manage to evade any unflattering, fecally themed nicknames as a result of my unfortunate position in the truck that day. And I have not since, nor do I ever, plan to camp ever again.